want you to imagine that World War III breaks out tomorrow. On March 14th, 2024, World War III may start. So if that ever happened, if it does happen, then I want you to tell me that, like, no matter where it happens or who's involved, whose side would you be on within that conflict? Would you care to fight? Would you even care about the conflict to begin with? How would you approach World War III? From what world vision would you look at that conflict, and from what kind of opinions would you make decisions for what you did if that ever did happen, if something so tragic ever did occur? Which, I mean, I'm betting it will, but that's another discussion for a different day. So I'm asking that because I want you to start thinking about, if you haven't already, it's a good idea to start thinking about why it's essential to know your core values, your life's vision, and how to find them. Because ultimately, our life's vision, i.e., what kind of change we want to see in the world, or what's our grand vision for our life, kind of the plan for our life, what we want to do with ourselves, at least in the moment or in the long term, is shaped by our values, is shaped by what we find important, what we prioritize. So today I'm going to show you why it's essential to know those core values, and basically how to find them. So core values are what your ultimate goal in life is, or what exact change you want to make by using the tool that is your life's task, also called your purpose. So obviously it would help to know your purpose before you let them watch this, and I already made a video on that yesterday, so I might put a card or something up here, or I'll include it at the end of the video, or I'll put a link in the description or something. But yeah, go check out my video on that if you're not sure what your life's purpose is. If you already know it, great, keep on watching. So the driving why that gives direction to, like, the how of your purpose is your life's vision, right? So you can kind of think of your purpose, aka your life's task, like the one task that you are extremely good at in life, as kind of this how. It's like a tool. It's like a hammer, for example. Let's just imagine that your purpose is kind of like a hammer, and the why behind using that hammer is your life's vision, right? So you could think of your life vision as kind of like a blueprint for a house, and you could think of your purpose as kind of like a hammer or a saw, or construction equipment to actually build that house. And the actual material for that house, well, would probably be your environment, would probably be what resources you have available to you to carry out that plan, to carry out that blueprint, in order to construct a house with the tools, right? It's a bit of a complex analogy, but yeah, I'll expand on it. Without this blueprint, without this driving vision, you're going to be a free agent to the influence of less noble causes, right? If you don't have your own opinions, if you don't have your own plan for yourself, someone else is going to use you to fulfill their own means, right? Someone else is going to use you as their pawn. You're going to be prey to their influence unless you have your own influence from your own mind, obviously. There's no point really in starting up a car and driving somewhere unless you have a destination in mind, right? Like, this is another analogy. Like, why would you even bother being a human being? Why would you even bother being an individual human being unless you have your own vision for life, right? Because let's be honest, you can't really be depending on other people for your own values or for your own vision in life. I might be a bit biased when I say that, but really it's the truth. It's essential for a good quality of life, right? That you have your own values that are separate from that of the group. It's fine if you're part of the group, but really at the end of the day, you have to be standing alone in what your values are. They have to be authentic to you. They have to be unique to you. So your grand vision should be achievable by who you are now and who you aim to be, right? So you should at least be starting your grand vision in life with who you are now, right? The first step to that master plan that you have should be achievable by who you are right now. So I'm probably not there yet in terms of what vision I have for myself, but me starting this YouTube channel, me turning on the camera and talking to you is at least a good starting point. It's my takeoff point for everything else I hope to achieve. So yeah, that's one example of this. And who I aim to be, who I'm trying to be, is very closely aligned with the rest of my grand vision. Obviously, one of the laws of power is never reveal your true intentions. So I don't know if I'm ready to talk about what I plan to do with this channel for the next couple of years on this video, but just stay tuned for that, and maybe subscribe if you're interested in that. But yeah, to live a successful life, the person you aim to be and the change you aim to make should be closely related. I already said that. So this view to the future, let me take a look at my notes. This view to the future will make you stronger and livelier in all stages of life, because it's like a source of faith and passion, giving you a zest for these daily struggles, right? Once you know where you're going, once you know what your ideal vision is, once you know where you want to go, doing the hard things that require discipline every day, right, and willpower. I made a video explaining how having some kind of vision, how having some kind of dream result that you can align yourself with will like heavily compound your hard work and your discipline and your willpower, as long as you keep reminding yourself of that outcome, right? And this is the same idea. A view to the future, kind of this goal, it's going to make you stronger and it's going to make you livelier. It's going to give you a reason to get out of bed. There really is no greater blessing for a man than to have engaging work and a purposeful vision, right? It's a very effective formula, I think, to be happy, is when you have something that you can do in the moment that is going to get you closer to this promised land, to this ideal result. That's not to say that you're going to make it within your lifetime, that you're going to hit like a certain point where you fulfill all of your goals and then you're going to be happy and then you can just sit around until you die. No, that's not how it works. You really have to stop hoping for the completion of anything in life. That's a chapter from David Data's The Way of the Superior Man, but that's a topic for a different day. All you have to know now is that your vision is going to shift and it's going to change as time goes on. And there's going to come a point when you leave this earth, obviously, either when you die or hey, something else might happen. But you can't really hope that you're going to get anything done in life. You just gotta take the moment for what it is and put in all the effort that you can from day to day. Take one step at a time, right? Because you run a lot faster when you see the finish line. Think of a marathon runner or like some kind of Olympic track meet. You watch those events. Say maybe it's like the 400 or the 800 or the 1500. These runners, they speed up on like the last quarter of their last lap because they see the finish line in sight. Those last, say, 100 meters, those last 100 yards are like the determining factor of who comes first, who comes second, and who comes third. And let's be honest, the guy who comes in first gets all the recognition. So there's a lot of cringe advice on the internet nowadays about, finding your core values, whether that's for family, like running a family or a business or stuff like that. There's like all these TEDx talks and like these YouTubers who have like this animated hand with like a permanent marker and they're just like drawing out everything. Yeah, I'm not cool with that because most of them are just farming for views, let's be honest. And honestly, they don't go deep enough when they're talking about finding your core values. They give very generic advice. Um, like honestly, what I hope to do here is do so much more than make just a wholesome video telling you to find, the right sterilized career that you're gonna stick with until you're 60, or this fairy tale love of your life, like the one, right? That kind of romantic myth that has been spread by Disney and the Catholic Church. I'll talk about that at a later date, but basically, what my problem is with most of the advice on the internet about finding your core values is that honestly, it just doesn't go deep enough, right? When they talk about core values, they're just meaning like, oh, what's your moral stance on things, right? And while that's important, it goes deeper than that, because what I'm talking about here is a lot more raw than that. This ultimate life vision it's kind of what they call the raison d'être, the reason to be, the reason of existence, basically your purpose to exist, right? It's going to be your legacy. It's going to be the exact goal that will allow you to die at least somewhat content that you did all you could to align yourself with this ultimate goal, with this God, kind of. So, like, think of how few men are remembered for being good compared to how many are known for being great, right? All great men, all men that we remember throughout history for being great, well, they knew this very well, that they should have this ultimate life vision that they should align all of their efforts with and devote all of their time to, right? Because that was their reason to exist. They had that vision and they used all their skills, all their talents towards it. Think of Napoleon, right? Napoleon Bonaparte, the famous general. He had this vision to conquer the earth, along with like Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, all of these other like great warriors from our past. They had this great vision to conquer and to spread their empire. And while you may call that like toxic masculinity or like barbarianism or something, it's so great what they did. I'm not saying it's good or moral, but like they had such a profound impact on the world because they understood this concept just so well. They had a vision, and they sought like the right association within their environment for it. They became these amazing generals. They rallied their people around them, and they basically took over the entirety of their known world at that time. It's recorded that Alexander the Great, after one of his later battles, he cried because there was nothing else to conquer. But that's, for lack of a better term, that's such a masculine problem, honestly. Like it's such an ideal for like maybe me or you to aim for it, where we seek to take over our known world because we're just so hungry, we're so driven. And ultimately that's something I aim for. That'd be a great thing for you to aim for. So yeah, moving on, going back to the great versus good discussion, who really cares if, Henry Ford was a nice guy or if he was a polite guy to other people around him? What's important is that Mr. Ford is the reason that almost the entire world, 8 billion people, ride in some kind of automobile every day, that the entire world runs on cars and trucks and all kinds of stuff like that, for personal transportation as well as like transportation of goods as well, and international trade. Imagine if we didn't have cars, we would still be living in like the freaking 1700s, right? And that all goes to say that if you're just a nice guy, if you're just a good guy as a man, people are going to forget you very fast and very easily, unless you're Jesus Christ or Muhammad or something. Which, I mean, they were great in the sense that they started their own movements. They had a profound impact on their culture because, well, maybe there are more spiritual elements at play, but what they really did was they made a legacy for themselves by starting this massive movement, right? They weren't just, these nice guys who went around healing people and doing favors, and that was the end of the story. No, they started a movement, right? And in that sense, they were great. And because of that, they were remembered. So, some limiting beliefs about finding your life's vision. Sorry if this video has been a bit confusing so far, but I'm working on it. Some limiting beliefs about this is that, well, maybe I can live a very comfortable life without having a master plan to take over the world or something. Because my parents and their parents live comfortably enough without having any grand goals or beliefs in life, or like any higher ambition, etc., etc. Well, the fallacy in that is that that's not really how life works. That's only really how how life in Western society has been for about 2 generations, ever since the end of World War II, and the '60s and prosperity, and the American dream, living out the American dream and all that stuff. But that's not going to last. That's already coming to an end. That's already collapsing. And you're not going to be living that comfortable life when the hard times inevitably come, right? We've been really comfortable and privileged in Western society. We've been getting softer, and basically the rest of the world has been getting harder, right? Think of Russia during the Cold War. They were building these nuclear weapons ever since I think the Tsar was overthrown during World War II, and they became this like communist state. And then they started stockpiling nuclear weapons while the U.S. just kind of wallowed in its ignorance. And then when they actually found out that that Russia was a major superpower, it was kind of too late. And then we had MK Ultra and like these CIA experiments and everything, and all the weirdness that came with the Cold War. And then after that, once the Cold War was done, and the USSR eventually became, what was it? The Soviet Union became the USSR. The USSR, sorry, they were no longer communist. We got China. China in the modern day is basically already declaring war on the U.S. Like, if you look at a Chinese propaganda today, it's pretty overtly like anti-American, and they're saying that they want to destroy America and just death to America basically. But we don't really care here in Western society, because we're just so soft. We're kind of desensitized to war, and what I see is that we're a little too naive to expect it, to know that's coming, and because of that, we're not preparing for it. And because of that, there's a good chance Western society is going to fall within the next 5 to 10 years, I'd say. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm ready for it. And yeah, I think that's an important thing to consider as well when you're talking about your life's vision and everything. About, the falling of Western society. But yeah, you got to be able to stand by something greater than yourself to overcome the tyranny or the death that is coming. You got to be a servant. You got to be subservient to something that is bigger than you, whether that be religion or God or some kind of movement. Yeah, you have to have values that are greater than yourself to basically overcome what's coming. Basically, this kind of reveals the need for like dogma and seemingly irrational faith when it comes to having beliefs that you will die for, right? Like so many like modern atheists, they like to mock the fact that for the longest time humanity has just had religion that they base their entire life values off of, and these religions that they die for, that they go to war about. Like so many people in the modern age think that that's so silly, but they're still going to war on Twitter about these political ideologies, right? So regardless of what you involve yourself with, you're always going to find a God. You're always going to find something that you're going to die for, whether that's yourself or whether that's the Christian God, or maybe any kind of organized religion, or maybe it's a political ideology, anything. Maybe it's a fandom even. Humanity is always going to find something to be fanatic about, is what I'm trying to say. Like anything less, and you're basically just going to be a pawn for greater, more sinister forces than you are, unless you align yourself with something like democracy or freedom or religion, etc., etc. That's why it's so essential just to align yourself with your core values, right? Another excuse that people have is that this seems like a pretty miserable way to live, where you devote all your effort for just like this one purpose. Like, why should I devote all my spare time and effort towards only one thing? Which, like, I think that's a bit of a misunderstanding, because honestly, who else is going to do that? First of all, who else is going to be fanatic about a cause that you care about other than you, right? This is obviously the most purposeful way to live, because you aren't wasting any of your time on this needless bullshit that amounts to nothing, right? So many people get dragged into stuff that they don't even care about. So many people spend like hours a day just scrolling away on their phones, looking at stuff that they honestly wouldn't care about, given other circumstances, and like a more desperate life where they weren't so comfortable and where they didn't have so much time just to waste on social media and video games and all these bad habits that I've harped on for long enough. But basically, you can still put time towards other needs like social connection, exercise, adventures, etc. Those are all essential. Talking to people, making social connections so you don't go insane within your own head because you're constantly isolating yourself. Like fitness. I put a lot of time towards fitness because, well, first of all, it's a need. Second of all, because I value it. Third of all, because it's good for me. And other stuff like just gaining experiences in life, having adventures, just getting out there, and developing yourself as a person. That's one of the most meaningful things that you can do in life. Everything like that is essential for not only a good quality of life, but it's equally dangerous to ignore them, to ignore your needs, because you got to devote some time to them to keep yourself alive, obviously. So once you kind of think of it in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs again. Like, once your basic needs are met, you got food, you got shelter, you got social connection, you got mental stability, then you can start working on aligning yourself with your morals and everything like that. So another excuse is like, well, but who cares what I feel or believe to be true? Right? That's what some people will say. And, well, honestly, nobody is going to care about your goals or ideas if you don't believe in them yourself. You got to take time to share your goals. You got to take time to share your ideas with other people, right? That's the whole point of missionaries or of outreach programs for certain causes. Like, be careful to not shove your ideology down people's throats. Just mention it to them when it's relevant, and you got to stand by your word. That's very important. Like, say I'm talking with someone about religion, or I'm talking to someone about whether there's a God or not, and I mention that I'm associated with a certain religion, and I tell them what I believe, right? In like if I do that in like a very hands-off way, that's all right. They're not going to resent me for it. Plus, I've already shared what I believe with them, so it's up to them to listen to me or not. What I've done is I've just shared what I believe with them, and honestly, that's all I can do. If I try and shove it down their throat, they're gonna resent me, and they're not gonna turn to my cause. Not that I even need them to. But if they're curious about your view, if they keep prodding you for more, at that point you can share more about it with them, and not that it should be your goal to convert like a whole bunch of people to your cause. I mean, obviously it would help, but it is very important to share what you believe once you have a developed opinion. I think it's kind of your duty to educate people on what you believe, right? Because honestly, that can have a huge benefit for people. One more excuse is, what if my core opinions or values change with time? What if what I believe changes as I go through life and I gain more experience? Well, short answer is they're supposed to. The idea is you start getting experience in life, and then once you have that experience, you use it to learn more about the world, about yourself, about others. And then through that newfound knowledge about the world, yourself, others, you become wise, right? Wisdom is almost the application of knowledge. There's kind of like a hierarchy of knowledge, right? Like data is on the bottom, knowledge, like knowing stuff, is above it, and at the very top is wisdom. Wisdom is like fully incorporated knowledge. And then after you get that wisdom through that knowledge, you glean these concrete underlying truths about reality from that wisdom. And then you can go on to educate people about those truths that you have found, about those discoveries, through performing your task in life and defending your values basically to the death. And then after that, you basically repeat this cycle. You know, you keep getting exposure, talking to people, doing all that stuff, and you periodically readjust your values and plans as needed when you learn new stuff, right? This is part of the human experience, this whole process of growth. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about. So my actionable step for you in this video is to focus on getting life experience through exposure, right? That's the first step in the process that I just described, where you get life experience through, you know, learning more about the world, yourself, and others by basically you should begin a conversation with two absolute strangers today. Sorry, I'm stuttering a lot in this video. Just trying to control my breath, you know, slow down, trying to articulate myself a little bit better, not trying to rush through anything. Gotta have that comfortable pause, right? So yeah, I want you to begin a conversation with two absolute strangers today. I want you to walk up to them. I want you to say, "Hey, excuse me," or something like that. Just try and get their attention, and then begin a conversation with them, no matter how trivial the thing that you're asking them is. So I want you to get their opinion on something. This can be about the weather, the clothes you're wearing, pretty much anything, depending on the context. Right? So say I'm at the library and there's somebody reading a book and they're sitting alone. I walk up to them, I say, "Hi, good morning, how you doing?" I introduce myself. Maybe I ask them about what they're reading, or I ask them about the weather, or I ask them about if they have any book recommendations for me even. The fact is, the point here is that you just learn something new about other people and about the world around you, right? So that person could tell me, well, I'm reading a book about, you know, reptiles or something. And I say, "Wow, reptiles, that's pretty cool. What have you learned?" And then they tell me more about reptiles and stuff like that. Or they might recommend a book to me or anything like that. Or they might start talking about their grandkids or something. I don't know. The point is that you talk to someone and you learn more about them, right? You get out of your shell and you start learning more about the world around you. You get knowledge. You kind of percolate on that knowledge and you gain wisdom from it. You learn underlying truths about reality from the patterns that you find in your learning, and then you incorporate those truths into your personal values, into your life's vision, into the change that you want to see in the world, and you try and educate people on those truths, on those values that you have, and then you repeat the process and you periodically readjust your values and plans as needed, given that formula. So yeah, begin a conversation with two people. Just ask them what they think about X and they'll tell you their opinion on it, right? Pretty easy. Just try it out with two people today. Go ahead and share the opinions and truths that you learned in the comments below. Go ahead and comment, you know, who you talked to, what they said, what you learned, everything. I'd really appreciate it if you did comment. I've been getting a fair amount of views, but first of all, if you watched this far, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll be trying to improve the quality of my videos, but yeah. Go ahead and comment below what those two people told you and what you learned from them. I really think that this is an excellent starting point to a more integrated life and paves the way for a sharper vision for the future. Even if you talk to an absolute idiot, you're still going to be learning social skills and you're going to be learning how to deal with stupidity even. Because let's be honest, stupid people or fools are quite common in life. So learning to deal with them, it's definitely a skill for getting along with people. So I hope this video helped you move on to a more integrated life, a more educated life. I hope it paves the way for a sharper vision to the future for you and for others. Go ahead and share this video if you'd like. Hit the bell if you want to be notified for every time I make a new video, which I hope to be doing a lot more often. Like this video if it helped you. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and watch my other videos on finding meaning and personal responsibility. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. I found I've been pretty nervous for the entire filming of this. If you have any advice on how I can improve my filming game, any kind of maybe like speaking routine that you go through, maybe just like loosen up your mouth or like your vocabulary or something, so that my filming seems a little bit more natural and authentic, where I can just kind of be myself on camera. Yeah, go ahead and share any ideas or anything that worked for you with me in the comments. So yeah, thanks for watching this far if you did, and I'll see you on the next video.